The weekend was filled with conversations about world power, world politics, following what happened with the killing of Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei in a coordinated US Israeli strike on Iran. Now, according to reports, there were other casualties, and what was even most bizarre about that incident is that as at the time it was reported, Iran's national security and even broadcast authorities didn't know that this man had been killed. But reports broke out in US. Reports came from Israel that Ali Khamenei had been taken down before the people he was in charge of were able to say, oh well, this happened or not. And of course, over the weekend also, we saw demolitions here in Onitsha. It was, did I say, responded to with mixed feelings. For some people, it is a move towards urban regeneration of the Onitsha metropolis and consequently main market. And of course, for some other persons, it was a strike because so many people's source of livelihoods were, would I say, interrupted? I wouldn't say cut short because they were given a notice to evacuate their properties from the buildings marked for demolition, and one would have thought that they would have done that before those buildings were taken down. Of course, some other persons are also asking for compensation. So many people who had shops in those buildings bought them. They didn't just rent. So they were not just losing rent already paid. They were losing ownership to properties. And some other persons were coming from the economic aspect. And so when this regeneration happens, who owns those facilities? Is it going to be like a lifelong partnership between the present governor and the government of Anambra State? These are some of the things that make sense on today's edition of the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning to you and welcome. I am Chisom Chinedu. Franklin Ebuka is here. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Chisom, and good morning to everybody listening to us this very morning. Of course, a couple of things. I took the highlights over the weekend. You have mentioned some of them. And just to mention a couple other things that took highlights was the extension of the tenure of the man in charge of NSCDC. I'm talking about the Commandant General of NSCDC. Over the weekend, we got from the presidency that the tenure of the Commandant has renewed by 5-year tenure, a new 5-year term. That is a reappointment for the second time. We know that he was appointed by Muhammad Buhari, but the term ended and Mr. President reappointed him. But what was the highlight was the fact that there was an ethnic dimension to it, because some persons were saying that Mr. President reappointed him on under 5-year term because he didn't want the next in rank, who happens to be an Igbo man, to succeed him. And I saw how that dominated discussions on the social media, people throwing banters from here and there on ethnic lines. And you talked about what happened in Iran, and I must tell you that it took just 2 days for the issues to be escalated. So what am I talking about? And we have seen Iran, launching strikes in different countries, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. I talk about the one that Israel is doing in Lebanon and what have you. So we have seen some other. So I was talking about other things that happened. You talk about what happened in Iran, how we saw U.S. and Israel teaming up to launch attacks in Iran because of the push by the two countries for Iran to de-escalate its nuclear weapon manufacturing, as much as Iran has said that it was not enriching its nuclear capability because of that. But we have seen how this whole thing has escalated. Like up to now, we have seen strikes not less than 5 countries, and we are wondering what could become of these consequences across the world, especially when it comes to the issue of energy. I'm talking about crude oil now. Then from the home front too, we also saw this very report coming from the presidency. Okay, no, the first one didn't come from the presidency. It was just a conjecture or concussion by some person that a chef in the presidency was arrested over an attempt to poison Mr. President. But as it stands now, the presidency has debunked that because yesterday, Bayon Anoga posted a video where he said that narrative people pushed out was concocted and there was no element of truth in that. And other things that happened. So by the time we get into this very conversation, of course, we're going to look into more of them, and also the town hall meeting which was held yesterday on the Electoral Act of 2026, where we saw different stakeholders speaking on the 2026 Electoral Act. And INEC Chairman Joash Amopito told us that we should not expect 100% perfect election in 2027. So he's asking us to anticipate with some element of caution.
Absolutely. Dr. Tony Olisambeki is here as well to make sense of all of these. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning to you, Chisom Chinet. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, Ndi Anambra. Good morning, Ndi Onitsha Doni. Good morning, Ndi Osumohu. Good morning, Ndi Afianine. Market Obogo, Wefere Obabada. If Obonabo Obo, we all acknowledge you, Ndi Olwa Kadiatizans, Ndi Oyibo, Ndi Nanye for Obonabo or Nyanya. Wherever you are listening to us, we also happy to know that you are there listening, because we are here to offer you anything but the truth. The most important thing is to acknowledge the mercy of Almighty God who has made it possible for us to be alive this very day, today being the second day in the month of March. Of course, we said Happy New Month yesterday, and we continue by saying to you Happy New Month, happy to be in the month of March, the 3rd month. And we're going to march to greatness. There's no doubt about that. You are welcome. Sit back and then enjoy the program.
We're going to start by telling you what the front pages of the papers say, and right after that, we dig into the conversation proper. On our table today, just like every other day, we have the Punch newspaper, we have the Vanguard, the Nation, and the Guardian newspapers. And on the, we have the Tribune instead of the Vanguard today. And so on the Nigerian Tribune, Nigerians divided over opposition's rejection of new electoral act. That's on page 22. The writers here, it's too late in the day. Chekwa Sokore. They are crying when the head is off. APC. Right thing must be done. NMPP. Taraki-led PDP sets a 3 weeks deadline to complete digital register. We are focused on Congress's Wiki-backed PDP faction. LP concerned with grassroots mobilization for now. That's from Nenadi Usman. U.S.-Israeli-Iran war, escalation may increase fuel pump price, manufacturing costs. CPPE warns on pages 5 and 6. Of course, when we dig into the conversation proper, we get to see if what happened over the weekend, speaking about Khamenei's death, is going to have, of course, the tension also has increased. It's going to have any ripple effects on Nigeria's economy, which is unfortunately anchored on crude largely. Power sector debt to Gencos may hit 8.8 trillion naira by end of 2026. On page 6, on page 13 banks weigh last-minute mergers, private placements, foreign partnership options. Recapitalization should deliver 8 to 10% GDP growth annually. Adebanjo is speaking on page 13. On page 8, FG AFC sign $1.3 billion alumni deal. And about the nameplate of the paper, real-time result transmission, what we learned from FCT polls, INEC chairman. That's on page 3, and the writer here is commissioned to conduct mock presidential election.
Okay, so let's look at the headlines we have on the Nation newspaper. And this one says ICPC recovers wiretapping equipment from Meru 5. It has a rider that says we got warrant to detain ex-governor for 14 days. He declined to cooperate with investigation. Okay, and the story says primaries parties must operate transparently, says Amupito. We have capacity for e-transmission. He said that at the town hall meeting, which was held yesterday, and it was on live television. Another headline says what Dangote traded for Nigeria's industrialization. The story can be found on page 16 of the Nation newspaper. It has a writer that says our legacy is to provide what we need. Nigerians get travel advisory on Middle East. That story can be found on page 7. Attempt to courier baby's body blocked at Motor Park. You can see that story on page 35 of the Nation newspaper. Another headline says recapitalization. Banks head for 6 trillion naira closure. That's another story there. Then the last story we can take from this very front page of the Nation says Fortune University unveils fees packages for students. Page 7. Federal government APC signed 1.3 billion naira alumni deal. It can also be found on page 7 of the Nation newspaper.
All right, then let's go to the Punch now. The banner headline here is 2027 polls won't be 100% perfect. INEC chair warns. Yesterday there was that town hall meeting that had a lot of civil society organizations, and of course, interestingly, Professor Joash Ampiton was there to speak for INEC, and he has said, oh well, not 100% perfect. We get to understand what he meant by that and what he hopes for Nigerians. On pages 8 and 45. Crude-backed loans gobbled 8.36 trillion naira of 2025 revenue. Find that on page 35. Fans cashless policy rollout. Sparks airport gridlock on page 43. School owners fear 700,000 Ogun students may miss WASE. That's on page 8. FGAFC Inc. $1.3 billion mining investment deal on page 43. Iran-US conflict may raise Nigeria's fuel prices on page 8. Tinubu convenes police council today to confirm DSU on page 24. Army major, 10 terrorists killed in foiled military base attack on page 46.
Okay, so over to the Guardian newspaper. The big story says market jittery as Iran conflict fuels supply chain crisis. $100 per barrel oil rally. The story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Another headline says chaos at Lagos Airport toll gate as fan begins cashless policy. You can see that on page 7. Another story says PIA host communities demand 13% derivation share. It's on page 29 of the Guardian. Obasanjo Edu held Tinubu over Naira stability, 4.07% GDP growth. You can see that on page 4. Court grounds NG Eagles jet freezes sale in $5.3 million aircraft dispute. It's on page 7. U.S.-Iran war. IGP orders security before as Shiite protests in Niger. U.S.-Iran war. IG orders security before as Shiite protests in Niger. That's what can be found on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Other headlines say presidency dismissed Tinubu's poisoning allegation. Footage. That story can be found on page 30. INEC plans mock presidential poll as Abbas defends hybrid result transmission. It's on page 6. Nigerians spend 3.607. Okay. Nigeria spends 3,607 naira monthly on telephone as telcos. ARP peaks. That story is on page 7. Death toll in attack on Niger communities rises to 15. That story can be found on page 13. I think a lot is going on in Niger State. Almost on a daily basis, we get to hear about killings here and there. And if the government is taking any step to ensure that this is tamed, we do not know. At the point, it was Benue, it was Kwara, and now Niger seems to be the center of all these killings now. So these are the headlines we have on the front pages of these papers we have today.
And absolutely, the conversation kickstarts right now. Now, don't forget we are live on Facebook at Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Like the post, of course, the page as well, and make sure to share the page and the video that is for the show, and drop your comment right under it. And we are starting the conversation from home because we saw what happened yesterday. According to reports, it was first a 14-day warning notice, and then it was extended to 28 days, and demolition started yesterday. According to this report by the Punch newspaper, there's been outcry from traders. The Onitsha North Local Government area of Anambra State has commenced the demolition of illegal structures at the Onitsha main market. The exercise aimed at restoring the original masterpiece and improving trading activities, and the sprawling market was met with outcry from traders. The exercise follows over a month of evacuation notices issued to affected traders and shop owners. Monitoring the development, a Punch correspondent observed that bulldozers began pulling down several marked structures at Park 1, Park 2, at Park 3, as well as sections along Bright Street, Johnson Street, and Gongoro, with the exercise set to continue today. Also, we had our correspondent, Ben, on the field yesterday morning. He was there from the start of the entire thing. And Tony, a lot of questions have been raised from what happened at Main Market yesterday. Of course, a lot of traders are going to be affected. We're talking about the immediate economic shock that this is going to bring about. And of course, an alteration of the supply chain, because something that you could easily get at one point now, you'd need to probably find somewhere else to get it. And we know how traders can be. This could also lead to, maybe in the short term, some sort of inflation. And also, it's led to some legal and governance questions about some court order and due process. Yesterday on social media, a lot of persons were asking questions about there was a court order to, pause on this demolition, and responses, especially from you, Tony. I think I saw your response. How was the court order served? Was it served the appropriate way? I mean, you cannot tell me that something is binding on me when you didn't get to me. You cannot not make a law known to me and then have it binding on me. And also, people are asking the political implications for Anambra State government. Some persons are saying, why wasn't it done in Governor Soludo's first tenure? I mean, some persons are saying, the way Governor Soludo is going about the second tenure is going to be Operation Fire for Fire. But let's start with one of the most important questions, Tony. Relocation plans. Were they made? And if they were not made, what is the plan of the government? Where are these people supposed to take their wares to? Because we're also looking at a possible increase in crime rate if care is not taken.
Well, we saw this coming, and we know maybe there could be triggers why this came at the time it came, but we are concerned about the inevitable in the sense that you cannot run away from this. It could be delayed, but it might not really be denied at all time. Yes, like I said on Friday, change is always painful. When people are used to their old way of doing things or relaxed with the way and manner they do things, they project things, they propagate certain things, and they want to bring change automatically, it will not go down well with so many of them. And it is natural. And there are times people also rebel against change. But the question is that change very important, necessary, needful to agenda the narrative probably the change is built on? Now, we are talking about the demolition that started at 4 a.m. on Sunday, 1st of March, 2026. There was a notice, but the phase we are just quite aware that will be from phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. And we saw the parley the governor had with the markets, men and women, everybody, not the leadership this time around, everyone. We saw that. That was sometime last week, Thursday. He had a parley with them at the amphitheater at the government house, where they chorused that they want the entire market to be demolished, to be brought down, so that it will create room for the new market.
But that's not what the governor is doing.
He told them that he's going to start phases. The first phase will be phase 0, which will be those area marked X, the illegal structures, that they would be pulled down, because these were places where parks were before now we are meant to be. But in any case, we saw how that started in NX, and people definitely knew how this would be, and it's going to be painful, no doubt. Questions that have been asked: who allocated these places to these market men and women? Did government play any part? Did government play any role in such allocation? If government play a role in such allocation, why are the people now bearing the brunt? I don't know if you understand that. Why are the people bearing the brunt? Whereas there were some members or those working for government who may have done one thing or the other. If you look at the way and manner the governor put it the last time he met with the market men and women, he told them that the new law on markets will be amended in such a way that any government official that did any ojoboro, you know what that means. If any government official does something, just take bribe and allow something to go on, the person, even upon retirement, will be brought back for prosecution. And for the fact that government officials were cornered, were bribed, does not in any way mean that government approves that. That's one thing people don't understand. There are times you may want to have your building plan or building approval, and you may go on, and possibly you may not get the eventual approval, but you may not be stopped or you may not be resisted. You may be allowed to continue what you're doing. That does not in any way imply that the government supports that. That's why sometimes if government wants to demolish anything, it will ask you, get your approval plan, from physical planning this, from that. So the physical planning law, according to the governor, that anybody that goes on to do anything untoward will be brought to bear that. So what happened at the main market was a situation where corrupt government officials, I have to put it this way, took money, took bribe, and allowed some of these structures to fester and allowed these structures to be developed.
We agree.
And they were purely illegal.
We agree.
And illegality is illegality.
But then, Tony, you would always talk about the human face to whatever government does.
Yeah.
I learned that from you. So, yes, these people may not even be alive anymore. I recall the very first day conversation about this came up. We got a report that sort of took us down memory lane to the persons who even started this supposed ojobo, who started selling these parks and building on them and even selling the shops. A one-time local government chairman of Onitsha North and all of that. Now, the question now is, the present government may not have any hand in this, doesn't even have any hand in this, because these structures have been there years before the government of Governor Soludo came on board. But the human face, was any move, was any provision made for relocation, proper relocation? That is the question a lot of people are asking. And while human face again, while a one-time government official was the one who did all of these backyard jobs, was there any some form of compensation to say, you bought this shop, it is not supposed to be here, or you take this amount, go and rent another shop and put your wares there?
I think that's just the problem, because if you ask some of these traders, how did you get this job, they will tell you that I rented it. So from the look of things, they did not buy it. They did not buy these jobs. They rented these jobs. Some people put up these structures. And these traders, we've seen, they are on rent. And when somebody is on rent, and that happens to be on illegal structure, or in a way, it makes it so complex. So how would you begin compensating somebody who is on rentage? They're on rent. Had it been they bought the place, now we begin to ask question, where did you buy it? Who did you buy it from? How much did you pay the person? And we must make sure that the person you bought it from reimburses you in a way that must be transparent. But the problem is, all of them, they're on rentage. There is somebody, I think one of the persons who built his own structure. He built his own structure. The question is, you know the person, I think he sells gold.
Yes.
The point is, he got the approval to build such thing. The question is, can you tender those approvals and the payments you made to who? They haven't come up with these things. You made payment got approval. Can you bring those papers? The idea is to see how you can be reimbursed. That's the human face now. The human face angle to these things is those who bought those things from those they bought from, they should be reimbursed. But they must bring proper documents that I bought this from this person, I bought that from that person. We will take it up. But situation where you're on rent, it means that you don't own anything there.
But you could be compensated for having paid rent.
If you've been paid rent or if you have paid rent, the question is, who did you pay to? Because you must have paid to the owners of the structure, those that rented these apartments to you.
So you're saying compensation should be coming from where the money went to, not from the government?
From where the money went to. You don't compensate somebody for building something illegal. What government should do is to make sure that whoever they pay to, they get their money from the person. That's the way it should be. It's just like if you build on drainage channels, because any place that is marked as illegal areas or places you built on them, just like drainage channel, and your structures either rickety, either ramshackles, you must have put up those places, and when those things are taken away after notice and you want somebody to compensate you for building on drainage channels, these people went and built on parks, place meant for parks, where vehicles ordinarily that could have come to the market where they will be parking. You went and built on that. And then you want government to compensate you for taking up where just like somebody building on parking, somebody building on drainage channels, somebody building on the road. That is what it is like. Tony. So the issue is government should step in to ensure that wherever their money went to, whoever they paid to, they get it from the person, not from the government. Ordinarily, let's put it this way, in same crime, they should be prosecuted. In same crime, if Nigeria is a country where law works, where law is applicable to everybody, both those on rent, those that build those things, they should be arrested and prosecuted. That is where war, maybe law works.
How many of them do you want to arrest and prosecute?
So let me come in here because we're talking about the human face. Of course, we've been able to establish that the structures that were marked for demolition, that they were built on parking lots, based on the original master plan of that very market. So it's no longer in contest. Now, where the issue lies is that some of the persons whose shops were demolished, some of them bought the shop. In fact, I can recall that the day we had interaction with them, some of them even showed us the papers with which they bought their shops. So the person that built the shop had sold to them and disappeared. Now, government is saying we are going to amend the law so that in subsequent ones, anybody who gets involved in such thing is going to be punished. But we're talking about the issue we have at hand now. Is there anything government can do to give a human face to what it's doing? Nobody is contesting whether government is doing the right thing or not. But the thing is there any way we can do it so that the pressure on people who are affected will become lower? Now, you talked about reimbursement. I do not know if such discussion has been held in the government quarters that those who originally can tell a document that they actually purchased the land from a government source, that government can reimburse them. I don't know if such thing has been put on discussion. Then you talked about prosecution. Some of the persons who sold these these parking lots to people, they worked in government offices. And you talked about prosecution. If we are going to prosecute them, of course, it's still going to be the government that is going to lead the way. So is there that will within the government circles to lead this charge and ensure that you prosecute them? Because in people who encroach on these parks, they have taken their money and disappeared. But
some of them died.
But people who now bought the shops or who are now paying rent, they are the ones now who are suffering the consequence, because, of course, many families are going to be affected by what happened, because somebody who owns the shops, who owned the shop there, and this time around, he can't go to the shops anymore. His means of income is affected, and it might affect his family. So we're talking about looking at the future. Okay, looking at the bigger picture, whereby government exists for the welfare of the people. What can be done? Is there not anything government can spring around in the immediacy? Let's now say, okay, let's even say that this is like a drop of water in an ocean, but let there be something.
Well, You well articulated your questions. We are talking about the human fakes, the human angle. We have all agreed that what the people did was wrong. If somebody lure you into wrongdoing and possibly you did not know about that, and it happens that you were part of that, you are accessory to the wrongdoing, and if when we dangle the long arm of the law, you also affected. Ignorance at all time is never excuse to anything. But we are just saying what can be done because we know these are our people. They have families, they have children, and they have bills to pay. What do we do outside the law? Because what we are trying to do is to remove the law.
No, we are not establishing rightness or wrongness anymore.
That's what
we are
looking
trying
at
to just what we can do to help people.
That is remove the law.
There's something about this issue of selling land. Okay, let me give an instance. In the past government of Anambra State, on Dobiano, do you know that some government officials were involved in selling government land?
Absolutely.
And when you are buying this land from a government official, you will believe that it is genuine. Do you understand? So sometimes people, because people don't go extra mile to go and verify, and because we don't have a land system, digitized, where somebody can log in and check if this land is a government-owned land. Though it's happening now under this current government, but in the past government it wasn't there. So whereby we have this very case where somebody is buying this thing, there is an imprimatur of a government official on what you are doing. Somebody can assume that, of course, this is legitimate, and the person goes ahead to do this. So I'm just trying to add this while you go on to talk about what we can do at this point, because with the way it is, I had imagined myself, if I were in the shoes of these people who are affected, and my only means of income is going to the market, open my shop and sell. Absolutely. And now those shops have been demolished, and there's no guarantee that you're going to come back.
Well, I think this platform has provided us with the opportunity to educate the people, and while we try to appeal to government to see how government can at the same time assuage their plight. But first and foremost, let's have the education first. Once we are done with education, what they should know, what they should not know, and then we now make appeal to the government on how government can see what it can do to ensure that they don't suffer too much. Now, the basic part of it is, you raise important thing that there are those that sell government lands. There are corrupt government officials that sell government lands, and most time people don't go extra mile to verify the authenticity, the originality of the land, and end up buying. And when you do not verify the authenticity, the originality, and end up buying, you are being scammed. Anybody can scam you. And that's what it is. And when that is brought up, or if that is taken away from you, you have to write petition to the police so that the person who sold the land to you will be apprehended. And now you go all out to ensure whether you can just get your money back. Because the law governing structures and most of these public structures in Anambra State is the physical planning law of the state. I'm aware that the Anambra State Physical Planning Law was enacted in 2013, specifically designated as Law Number 9 of 2013. In fact, it came into force, I think it was sometime around May, it came into force. And then the law in itself mentioned that, in fact, the title of the law, that is the introductory course naming Anambra the State Physical Planning Law. So it tells you everything that one should know about illegal structure. There, in fact, if you go to the law, for defective structures posing danger or nuisance, the law says a 21-day initial demolition notice followed by a 14-day final notice is required before demolition, unless in breach of prior enforcement notice. So everything is embedded in this law. The question is, many don't even know that this law does exist. Many, they don't even know that. And for the fact you don't know that it does exist, if you buy something from anyone, either from government or anybody who sold that thing to you wrongly or with a thought that it is real, in essence, you are not covered, because it's just like somebody's coming you from presidency, somebody's coming you from the government. The question is, when you are actually targeted at, you call out the person who may have done that to you. And when you call out the person who may have done that to you, the next thing will be where the person will be arrested and prosecuted. The question is, I do not know. I'm not aware. Those things are no defense. I'm not aware. How could I have been aware? I did not know. Have you gone to court during section or proceedings when somebody was asked, why did you do this? How come you did this? I'm not even aware. That is ignorance.
Ignorance of the law
is
never
not
an
an excuse. You
We
will be
understand
prosecuted.
that.
So the issue is, before you buy anything, either from government, because there are those who are doing land businesses, government has a registry. You go to the appropriate quarter.
Where is this registry? I want you to be more specific. Before you buy a land, this is what you should do. This is where you should go to.
Before you buy a land, apart from those who run real estate that would promise heaven and earth, there are those who may also buy this from government. And one thing is this: government has a designation for every land in the states. There are communal lands, there are Omona lands.
By designation, what do you mean?
The nature of the land.
Okay.
There are places government has also kept for itself, for future use. There are people that will go to these places and get themselves involved in the ones government kept for itself, either for one purpose or the other, and they will start selling these lands. And before you know it, and if you go to the Ministry of Land, for instance, Ministry of Lands, they have the registry of every land. Find out from the Ministry of Land if this land belongs to the homeowner, belongs to this group, or belongs to that group, or belongs to government. The most important thing is to ensure that the land does not in any way belongs to government, because if it belongs to government, government will come and take their land, and there's nothing you will do about it. Even if government official sold that land to you, it is left for you to call out the government official that sold that land for you for immediate prosecution, and possibly to see how you can also take your money back. The point I'm trying to make is people must ask questions, necessary questions, before undertaking on anything. And I know very well that if you look at those spaces we are talking about, even an ordinary person knows that these places were parks, meant for parks. None of these people that their shops being demolished, nobody, none of them will say they don't know that place is a parking lot. Because you see vehicles, in fact, they do load within the circle. So the point is, we have seen this. I listened to the entertainment. In fact, somebody was telling me that when governor was talking to them, do you know what governor told them? Somebody, one of those that went there, and he told me the governor was telling them that they should, under the law, they were supposed to pay for the demolition. That they were supposed to pay for the demolition. The human face, according to the person, he told me that the governor told them that he will give them is government will bear the cost of demolition. But under the law, that they are supposed to bear the cost of demolition for building on illegal spaces. That's what the law says. That you pay for the demolition. But the human face is that the government will take charge of that demolition. But that is one. But I'm saying also that in addition to that, according to what they said that the governor told them, that they will not take, the government will take care of the demolition, cost, that they will not in any way be asked to pay for the demolition, that they want where they can be resettled now as a citizen of the state that wants to do business, that wants to thrive, that wants to also help in the business outreach of the state expansion and things like that. That is where government needs to come in now. And now the question is, do we have any space around? I asked the person, is there any space you people can cite in a way that one can start appealing to government, there is a space here, so that you people can be taken to this place for the meantime while the whole exercise is ongoing. Because the idea is, by the time the market is remodeled, governor told them it will accommodate all of you. Come back. That the market,
When?
the question is, the first stage, I was told, the first one that started on Sunday, the completion time is around June. This June,
So we are saying new structures are going to be ready for occupants by June.
By June, that space will be well built for park, not for shops.
Okay, so
Because
the question is, where are the shops going to be built now to accommodate all of these
the other
people?
phases, because these other phases will be brought down and then rebuilt in a modern market-like way.
So, Tony, the question now is, why didn't we start with these other phases? So much so that when the rebuilding is done, these people can now move to those places. And these places cannot be taken. I mean, parks are quite important. But I think it is more important to give these people a space before parks are constructed.
Well, the thing is, for these people on illegal structures, there is a law to their demolition. But those who have right occupancy, you must give them proper notice. For those who have right occupancy, for those who are well in their spaces,
I totally
you
understand
must give them the notice the law stipulates, and that notice must be measurable. And the law, if you go to fiscal planning law of Anambra State 2013, it specifies if government wants to demolish a market and rebuild a market for expansion reason or for expansion purpose, there is notification period. You must give them. But those on illegal structure, at times, illegal structure has no notice according to the law. The one that has notice is structures that are defective but are not illegal. You go to the fiscal planning law. Structures that are defective but they are not illegal.
I understand you.
Then you have prior notice and final 14 days notice.
You're talking human face, remember.
But anything on illegal, according to fiscal planning law of Anambra State, has no notice.
We're still talking human face. We're not disputing what the law says.
Tony,
but the government has every right to also alter the law or maybe shift outside the ambits of the law to have a more human face.
Of course. That's what we are saying now. Now, if you go back to those who are rightful occupants, you can't just demolish these structures the way you did for those who are. So the question is, okay.
Give me a second. I've been trying to make a mental calculation. I mean, I'm trying to do proper mathematics here. So I understand that these parks are important, but another person might be asking why the hurry. You could give the people on proper structures, give them 6 months if that is what it's going to take, and by 6 months you have them, probably move out, wait a bit, and if you're going to have new structures ready in 4 months, then everybody moves to these new structures, both the illegal occupants and the legal occupants, and then you can go ahead, demolish the illegal structures and build your parks. I don't know. I know another person might also be reasoning there still has to be some form of displacement for anyone to happen. So, Franklin,
where I wanted Tony to also respond, because I raised that very question is, we have talked about it. Yes, people can occupy a structure illegally or a place illegally, and then when a government that wants to restore the original master plan wakes up, it can go ahead to do that. But I'm still talking about why people who get involved in it in the first instance, go scot-free. Then people who are direct beneficiary begin to suffer the consequences. Why the original distorters go scot-free?
Or even indirect beneficiaries.
I'll give an answer, because I want to see a time where people can now have consequences for their actions, so that we can deter government officials for getting involved in this kind of thing. I once had a conversation with a former official of Anambra Fiscal Board, and in that very conversation off the microphone, and he opened my eyes to different kinds of underhand plans that happen within government institutions. And he told me how in Oka then, there was this kind of policy that played out then, how people were even influencing government to pull down people's structure. Maybe if you're in the same line of business with somebody, and the person felt that this is competition, that you might consume his own business, he goes to influence government people to pull down your own structure, even when you have all the master plans approved and what have you. So that tells you there is a lot going on within the government circle when it comes to people building structures illegally. So Tony, at this point in time, can government take up this prosecution you talked about? Is it outside what government can do if we are going to hold people responsible for the hardship they have plunged people into at this point in time?
Well, can government take up the prosecution? Before prosecution, there must be complaints. Government can't just prosecute anyone who has not come up with complaints. You must tender complaints. And what are the complaints? That I paid so amount of money to so person and for so reason. And you look at it, government has an office, there is special advisor to the governor on market and all that. They should take their complaints to the special advisor to the governor. And it's expected that it must be acted upon. But first and foremost, there must be complaints. The idea is to see where government can come in. And one thing is, whatever government does, people should see it as giving the people human face. Because if you apply the law strictly, even those who are asking for either recompensation and all that reimbursement. They are also part of the deed itself. So we are trying to push our way or sideline the law and possibly see where human face can come in there. We have said it many times, it is important. It's just like if someone now goes to a Emeka and buys phone, and the person who bought that phone at the market, he bought the phone at the market. But it happens that the phone is a stolen one. And using tracker, the person is tracked. You that bought the phone, you bought the phone at a market, but you never knew that the phone you bought at the market was even a stolen phone. Now, when you are arrested by the police, your complaint will be, I bought this phone at the market. But you will be told that you bought a stolen phone, that this phone belongs to these people. For the fact you bought a stolen, the law will be applied and you will go in for it. But because you have to call out the person who sold the phone to you. But during prosecution, you can also make it known that you was not part of the stealing, you were not part of this, that you just bought at the market where it is designated for such, sale of the phone, and the court may now say you were not part of the stealing. For the fact that you were not part of the stealing, stay away. That there will be no punishment for you because you were not part. You didn't even know those that stole, just that you went to the market. People should be careful. That's the point. But the point is, tender your complaints to the office of the special advisor to the governor of market. For those who feel so aggrieved that they were scammed, that their monies were taken away from them, from there we can also follow it up. And I would also be ready to assist those who have genuine complaints. Yes, if you have a genuine complaint, if you reach out, we assist you. But the key thing is ignorance of the law. Let it be known anywhere. It's never an excuse.
All right.
So, just to add, government should also be thinking about a corker, because if you go to a corker, maybe what you have at memory might be a child's play compared to a corker.
They should wait. Their time, just like I said, there are things that are inevitable. There are things you cannot run away from. One thing about some of the markets we have in parts of Anambra State, they don't follow the master plan of the market. Everybody wants to build from kiosks, from shanties, from ramshackles. They want to expand, and these things you are building, no matter what, somebody can buy a space and build up structure, and these structures fall on these illegal spaces we are talking about. They will come down one day. Just have it in mind. Let me give you, there's someone who told my friend that he wants to sell a shop. Their friend contacted me. I said, this person says he wants to sell this shop, and I asked the person, send me the video, send me this thing. I told the person, my friend, that this place where this structure was built is purely an illegal space. My friend was like, how do you know?
It's only a matter of space.
It's a matter of time
before you lose everything.
You will lose it. And I told my friend, don't buy. Unless you want to stay there for the meantime. Unless you want to stay there to do business, but no very day. Just know that one day this thing will come down. Instead of buying, be on rent, so that when it comes down, then the shortages or the
losses
damages
will be minimal.
Will be very minimal.
All right, let's go on a break now. We're going on a break to bring to you news concerning the new partnership that Udala Radio has entered with a mobile gaming company. I promise you there are going to be lots of compensations when you sign up with this new gaming company. But then we'll be right back to continue the conversation right after this. Keep it locked. It's still the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Correct gist our people. Udala Radio get better news for now. We don't join hand with one serious mobile gaming company, and we carry something big come for Onitsha people. You get phone abi? You like game? You want play with millions of players from different countries, or you just want they play and they win? Then this one now for you. Make you come join our gaming community now. You fit stand chance to make name for yourself as you they play and they earn. The better you sabi the game, the bigger your reward. If you dey interested, no do yourself or just send text message with your phone number, your full name, your email address. Send them go 0803-350-4206 to register. No miss the opportunity. Now better chance to join something where go sweet and reward you well. All you need now just your phone. You fit there anywhere. They play, they earn reward. Send your details now to 0803-350-4206. I go talk am again. 0803-350-4206. Make we start you up today. Udala Radio. We they always bring una the correct best.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
So yesterday there was a town hall meeting, and the 2027 election was at the center of the conversation. And you understand that this is consequent because of the 2026 Electoral Act, which has come under fire across different quarters. It's had different interpretations and different certain variations from the 2022 Electoral Act. And also, it has come short of what so many people expected of it. For instance, a lot of persons looked forward to the 2026 Electoral Act being quite emphatic on real-time transmission of election results. Unfortunately, we didn't get to achieve that. While opposition is protesting, yesterday, INEC chair at that town hall meeting, I'm speaking about Professor Josh Ampeton, said something that has struck the nerve for a lot of Nigerians. And they're asking questions. They are asking if INEC is not planning to implement all the reforms to the latter. They warning us ahead of time that there were going to be some kind of plays from here and there. Okay, some persons are also curious to find out if Nigeria is really willing to implement the latter, the whole idea of electronic transmission, however limited it could be. Because, I mean, limited in the sense that it's not going to be real time anymore, but it has to be done regardless. And Professor Joy said that the election of 2027 won't be 100% perfect. Like I said, he said that at that town hall meeting yesterday. He assured Nigerians that the commission has the capacity to electronically transmit election results in 2027, but cautioned that it may not be able to guarantee 100% perfect election. And the question that has been in my mind is, if INEC is able to electronically transmit results, why then are we having a law that doesn't back it to do that in real time? The clause there is real time. He also did say that that election is going to happen January 16th, if I'm not mistaken. That's the new date. And a lot of stakeholders were at that particular town hall meeting. He appealed to Nigerians to, what would I say, strive as much as possible to believe in the electoral process and also be a part of it, while he also made promises that from his own part and from the part of INEC, they are going to do what they can do to give Nigerians the elections that they desire. So, Tony, let's start with that clause of it can be 100%. Do we have anything to be afraid of?
Well, there's no election that is 100% perfect anywhere in the world. We know that for sure. I think it's a generic word. When someone tells you I'm not perfect, I'm human, and humans are associated with errors, but we will not take those statements credited to the NX chairman, George. I'm not pretend we wouldn't take it to bank. Someone will say it is a way of trying to let us know that there could be glitches. Just understand that we are not 100% perfect. You must have aim, you must have ambition towards everything you are doing. At least I had thought that he would have rephrased that very statement to mean that we'll be targeting 100% perfection. It may not be possible, but
remember, we are trying to build trust.
That's what I'm saying. Targeting something does not mean that you will get it. That's to show how committed you are towards something. I will be targeting this. Just like being ambitious. You are not promising that it will be this way, but you will tell someone what your targets are. That is one. And another thing is, this is not the first time INEC has given Nigerians hope, and at the end of the day, they found Nigerians. Look at what happened at the area council election in Abuja, where we saw glitches in such minor election, or would I call it small election, where polling booths in some places did not open on time. And you cannot be repeating the same thing all the time and expect a different result. Can George tell us what they have learned and what they are going to do differently to have glitch-free election. Yeah, he didn't disclose these things yesterday. I thought it's not about coming to sermonize about how these things are done. Tell us what you are going to do differently. If you mix blue and possibly red, you may eventually get green, and you keep mixing the two colors, expecting white. Is it possible? It's not. It's not possible. It's just color mixing theory will tell you that based on what you put together, that's what you get. We've identified some logistical problems associated with INEC, and they have not been able to do anything to sort it out, like issue of transportation. They have not sorted it out. They keep relying on old model, expecting something different. It's not going to work. I have made suggestions. I know many of them do listing. You must work with major transport stakeholders, both those who are owners and both those who are into management of most of these things. You must not coming out anyhow and then rely on any transport. And we know very well that if you are to go with National Union of Road Transport Workers, you have MCO Lomo, who pulls the plug. So the point is, they should tell us what they are going to do differently. You can't just tell me that this will happen. I will say amen when I know from the past record it has always been that way, and you promised me that there will be a change. What are you going to do that will cause that change? That I need to know. That's why I do my thing. So the most important thing is, yes, there was need for this town hall meeting to relate with people, to assuage their fears, to interact with them, to have this parley with them, but it does not solve the problem. The problems are there. If you cannot get it right, as expected in Abuja Municipal Area Council's election, how then do you get it right in the major election in this country?
So, Tony, from what he said, that Nigerians should not expect 100% perfect election. Of course, he noted there's no way in the world that you can get 100% perfect election, but you might not see the heads of those electoral bodies coming out to tell you that such thing cannot be guaranteed, or you shouldn't expect that. So this statement, is it an indictment on his person that we should begin to question his capability to give us a near credible election? Because for Nigerians, what they are asking is not even perfect election. They are asking for an election that would be credible. By me looking at it, you should be able to say this election was credible. So this statement he made, is that a question on his ability to give Nigerians an election that they can look at and say, okay, I think we are near to something acceptable?
Well, you call it indictment, whatever name you call it, it's your own interpretation. I understand what he's trying to say. He's trying to say that we are not perfect, but he did not communicate properly. That's the point I'm trying to make. You should communicate in a way that reminds everyone that leaks things that you are committed in achieving more successes, leveraging on the past success record, if there is any at all. He didn't communicate properly. And I've said the way he could have communicated by giving us targets. And anybody who gives targets work towards the target. But that is by the way. And then you talk about, like what I said earlier on, you must put something on something to stand. Something cannot stand on nothing. It's not about, look at the money we are being told that INEC is requested. And government, from the look of things, seems to be committed in releasing the funds. If you spend 1 point something trillion put together, you have the one for election, 800 and something billion, you have for your normal operational this thing about 100 and something or 170 billion, or everything put together is about 1.1 trillion. At the end of the day, you did not give Nigerians, you did not give the country the kind of elections they desire, or something that they can score on average 50%, because we must start scoring these elections. We must measure them on a scale from 0 to 100, because the elections we have had in this country, if you scale them, many of them do not come out of 20. Some we even score them below 15 or below 10, depending on who is giving the score. The question is, what are the preparations? If you look at the amounts so big, so big.
But the release time is also a big cause for concern. I mean, if you're releasing money for an election 6 months before the election, what is the guarantee that INEC is going to be able to effectively gather itself, put itself together?
It's also another issue, because if you look at by law, we are told before now, INEC should be giving these funds a year to the election. But if you look at the new law has reduced it to 6 months, which for me also stifles INEC independence. Everything should not be done in such a way that somebody has a control or somebody has an influence over the election. Because if INEC is waiting for the money and you release it so close to the election, about 6 months as we have seen, it is going to impact on their preparation. There is no doubt. There are things I'm beginning to think that INEC should even own. INEC should even lease keke for certain transportation. Even lease some of these people, but they wouldn't want to take all these things because it would also add to their own problems. The major issue as far as INEC conduct of election is concerned is human factor, number 1. Number 2, logistics. Number 3, glitches. This either network glitches, as we usually call it, is as a result of human factor too. Corrupt people who want to subvert the process to get whatever result or intended result they want to get. That is the human factor. Then there are ones that possibly they did not contribute directly, but indirectly they contributed it. Issue of logistics. Where polling booths should open as late as 9:30 or 9. You see some polling booths, election materials, these things have not been to where they should be at 11 a.m. And people have been waiting since 8. And those who could have waited for that long may have gone home. So it is a fundamental issue. And if you look around and see why that is more like a reputation, they keep relying on transport unions, road transport workers, and many of them with recreative vehicles for the election. You want one that will move to Ayamelum to Ifitogwari. It will break down many places before it gets to Ifitogwari. And those at Ifitogwari will be complaining. In fact, if you come to Osumo, we have some topography. Some of these vehicles might not even climb.
So Tony, INEC said, Movito said they are going to conduct mock election this time around so that they will test their preparation for the 2027 general election. Would that in any way give us some kind of elements of belief to say, okay, if they conduct a mock election, they'll be able to see their lapses and fine-tune ahead of the election?
Most elections we have had in this country, we had mock elections prior to the main election. So what did the mock solve? The last election we had, the 2023 election, the mock was fantastic. We saw the mock. INEC came out and told us, with the observers who followed the mock, and told us that we saw there was just minimal glitches, and which will not impact on the overall performance of the election. But during the election, what did we see? Presidential election glitches, senatorial, House of Rep elections and State House of Assembly elections and governorship elections went perfectly well. The presidential had glitches, and INEC said that they had glitches. Many people, for the first time, heard the word glitch. The issue is, I have said it many times, we know there are human interferences to some of these processes. That's the reason we keep having these glitches, either for a reason, either for a purpose. How do we mitigate these factors to ensure less human interference? And that's why people promulgated the issue of real-time transmission and real-time collation and stuff like that. But we've seen how that has suffered setback at the Senate. And so far, we have got a manual backup. And INEC is making a promise that they would do much to ensure that all the results are transmitted electronically and possibly collected as well. Can you rely on INEC? What about the promise you made in 2023? Have you apologized to Nigerians? They may have apologized, but I'm not aware of such apology, but they may have apologized in some quarters. What happened? How then do we look at 2027 election? Many people have poised, and many people have also in a way say that 2027 election may be far bad compared to 2023 elections, based on what I'm saying. This is the first time Amopiton will be conducting a major election. So how would that pan? It's a problem. And if you look around, we are here, we have a role, we have a function to do here to lift the spirit of Nigerians. Because I've said many times, not participating is even more dangerous than a flawed election. When you participate in a flawed election, it's better than not participating at all. I've said it many times. So we must prepare ourselves to come out. And we've seen, somebody asked a question last night during the town hall meeting that the issue of network is something that people keep citing. For him, he feels so bizarre that we have major phone network providers in this country, and they can work simultaneously. And where one fails, you revert to the other one. And we
can even go international. I mean, like you always say, Starlink is there.
Of course, I've said that, but and the person asked, can't INEC go with these four networks where they can easily interchange? If this one is faltering, this one comes in, they would go with routers powered by these four network providers. There are some places that can as well use Starlinks. In fact, network will never be an issue.
Should never be an issue, actually.
People citing network there, for me, I don't know. I don't want to say that mischievous.
Trivial?
It could be trivial. It could be trivial. But the key thing is human interference. Are we committed to seeing a very credible election in Nigeria come 2027? If you are committed, we're going to get it.
All right, then. If you are committed, we're going to get it. And you've got to play your part as a Nigerian to get it. Have you gotten your voter card? We're also looking forward to a system where it will be a lot easier for Nigerians to just, come in and vote, because there is already a harmonized system, a database where you don't have to go through the hassles of getting a voter card and all of that before you're allowed to vote. And so over the weekend, Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei was killed in the U.S.-Israeli shelling. And according to reports, knowing what we know about Nigeria, questions are rising about the possible implications, because our economy is heavily exposed to global crude prices. And of course, Tony, we do not have so much time, but let's look at whether this is going to be a windfall in terms of oil revenue, and of course, is Nigeria going to be better off with this or worse off? Because some reports say we're most likely going to be having an increase in the cost of petroleum products.
Oh, it's likely. It's likely. We are going to have the adverse effect because we expect the pump price of petroleum product to increase, because Nigerian crude prices is somehow being influenced by international petroleum prices, which I have always argued that it should not be. It should not be, but they tell you that they want independence, they want the Petroleum Industrial Act to function the way it is really packaged. But that's by the way. And we know Iran is a major oil distributor in the world. In fact, all this US is doing, let me say this, if not for Iranian oil, US may not be so much interested in Iran. I recall before now, US, because if you look at Iran as we have today, Iran used to be a monarchical system. I remember during those days what made US to upstage the first coup that removed the first Iranian prime minister. What did he do? He nationalized Iranian oil facilities. He made the oil industry to be under the state control. And for US, it's communism. Anything communism, US does not want to hear. They will fight you to stand still. Anything communism, you want everything to be under the state control. You don't want the major distributions to be in the hands of private individuals or private sector. You don't want to privatize where players come in and play equitably. You want to control everything, decide who comes in. That was what led to the dethronement of the prime minister. And you know how they did it? The CIA and then the M16 of UK. Of course, one dubbed his own Operation Boost. The other one dubbed his own Operation a particular name, and they upstage, they bribe all of the Iranian politicians, infiltrated the military, bribed the military, removed the man. The man was removed by Iran. I'm talking about the prime minister, the 1953 coup. That was how they brought in Shah. They brought in the Shah, the monarch, and expanded the monarch power. But the monarch started reverting those things the prime minister did by bringing land reforms to the hands of individuals, women having liberty to vote. He brought a lot of reforms, making things education. We are graduates will be posted to different villages to teach people. They want women to be well educated. The man started it as a monarch, but he was under the influence and control of US. Before this, Ayatollah Khamenei, I'm talking about Ruhollah, not even the one they killed, started writing, criticizing. At the end of the day, he engendered the revolution of 1979. Of course, he was in France when the revolution took place, and he came back from France and became the supreme leader. I'm talking about Ayatollah Ruhollah Khamenei. And this one they killed yesterday on Saturday was his disciple. When he became the supreme leader in 1979, the disciple became the president. And he died in 1989. When he died in 1989, this disciple they killed on Saturday became the supreme leader, the second supreme leader. And then he was more strict. He wants to enforce religion over anything state, over anything civilization. Women have their place. They wouldn't share a lot of things with men. Education for what? The kind of education they should have should be Islamic education, where they recite Quran. And then he started building a lot of ammunitions to fight off US, because for them they have got their independence from the hands of. But then look at what is going on. One Iranian rial is equivalent to, I think $1 is equivalent to 1.4 million Iranian rial. That's the currency, their currency. If you have $1, what it means that you are having 1.4 million rial of Iranian rial.
That means their currency is dead. I mean,
that is what that is what it is, because they spend so much money building militias around Middle East. Look at the Houthis in Yemen. Look at the Hamas. Look at so many of them, and for them they want to have control around the Middle East. What happened? But they have been the target of US. The US wants to ensure that they revert. They did this thing in 1953, but in the case of 1952, they used Iranians to cause the change. The Ayatollah Ruhollah Khamenei used Iranians to cause revolution, to upstage what US did, and US has come in another form now by coming with strikes, over 900 airstrikes. And look at what Iran responded, fighting US assets in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and some other middle, because US has assets in some of these countries, and US has converted these Islamic countries as their major allies. They are their allies, and they have Iran and then Syria. Before now, Syria used to be under this Khamenei, but since Omar al-Bashir was expelled from Syria, that place has getting some breath of life. Russia and China, they have been the ones pushing this man that was killed on Saturday. But I ask a question: where is Russia? Where is China? They will put you, sell weapons to you, sell everything. Money Iran should have been used to develop schools, develop hospitals, build tangible things, ensure that the economy is flourishing. They use these monies to be building ammunitions, building tanks, building nuclear programs, and Russia will telling them, go on, you are on the right track. The Iranian economy is destroyed, is dead, and US, just like I've always said, is orderly wejenga. They come for you at their prime. The man, of course, is 86 years. He has been there from 1989 as supreme leader, but 1981 as the president, until he succeeded Ayatollah Ruhollah Khamenei in 1989. The first Ayatollah is the #1 clerical rank in Iran. The word Ayatollah, that's what it is. So it's going to affect us very, very well, because this disruption flow, the supply flow is disrupted, and once supply flow is disrupted, there will be no more supplies, as other parts of the world will be getting oil, Russia, and everybody will try to
going to bring about
conserve
inflation.
the ones. Of course, inflation will set in, and the price will just go up.
Very quickly.
Tony, because there's also the security aspect of it, because in Nigeria, we have the Shia Muslims, and I think that was 2 days ago.
Yeah, they protested.
They made some procession in Abuja, kicking against the attack in Iran. And we know that if you go to Iran, you have the Shia Muslim dominated.
That's the headquarters of
exactly.
Shia.
Then if you talk about Saudi Arabia, where you have the Sunni and what have you not. Now, so for us, there could be a security implication which we need to watch. Then on the other hand, too, Tony, because for us to also probe deeper, if you look at what the US is doing, this attack isn't these attacks are not happening just by US. We have Israel joining forces with US to launch these very attacks, and we know that if you talk about countries in the Middle East, Israel is there. Likewise, Iran. These countries in the what they call the Western Asia or what have you not. And if you look at the history between Iran and Israel, it dates back in time that if you begin to probe deeper, you might see beyond the surface. US will tell you that why they are doing what they are doing just because of Iran going ahead to enrich its nuclear capability. But Iran is saying we're only doing this for our own benefit. We are not intending to use it for any kind of nuclear weapon. So, Tony,
nuclear war, you mean?
Not just for them. US is saying that why they are enriching their nuclear ability is that because they want to manufacture nuclear weapon. But Iran is saying that is not their intention.
So what would be their intention?
So Tony, where I'm going to now is because if you look at what happened, some person will tell you that why US is doing what it's doing in Iran is because of the oil. Yeah. Just the way they had their eyes in Venezuela. That's the way they have their eyes in Iran. But US is saying that their intention is that they want to ensure that there is peace. They're talking about Hezbollah. They're talking about different terrorist organizations that they want to ensure that they are eliminated because they believe that they are a threat to the world global peace.
Well, the immediate concern is the oil. The other one is secondary, the issue of world peace. Of course, we've had these people. Why didn't US go back to take off Afghanistan, remove the government there, which has also been sponsoring terrorism in their own way? We know very well that Iran has one of the highest oil deposits in the world, and they nationalize their oil industry. As we have most of these companies in US companies, they have been shortchanged in Iran. I just said before now, why did they cause change many years back in 1953? Because the prime minister nationalized oil assets. It was one of the first trigger, and the US conducted that coup by bribing members of Iranian parliament, majorlists, bribe military. He wanted to cause a change of government, and the trigger was because the prime minister nationalized the oil industry. That oil industry becomes under the state control.
Are we missing something here? Because this is also supposed to be a sovereign nation, and I don't understand why you have a problem with how a sovereign nation decides to handle their resources.
For US, your sovereignty should not disturb our world business.
Interesting.
Your sovereignty, yes, you have it, but situation where it conflicts with our business interests will come for you.
All right, let's go on a
That's
break.
US for you.
Let's go on a break, and when we come back, we rattle off this conversation and then open up the phone lines to stay.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Something big is coming your way.
Something extraordinary.
A festival of fast things.
Is Mega Fest 2026 and the Mega Church Silver Jubilee.
Live at the Mega Church headquarters opposite Army Gate, Onitsha.
It's our season of supernatural manifestation.
Do you need a lasting impact and supernatural shift?
Then this program is for you. Come and encounter God who is able to heal, deliver, restore, and prosper you.
Date Wednesday and Thursday, the 4th and 5th of March 2026. Time 4:30 p.m. daily. Friday, all night mega praise and worship. Time 9 p.m. While on Sunday, the 8th of March is the grand finale of this great event. Time 8 a.m.
Come and encounter God via the ministration of Bishop Bolu Martins, Pastor Ozo Jonathan, Apostle Dan Ubu, ministering in songs, Mr. M and the Revelation, and other gospel ministers.
Host Pastor Mrs. Njideka Ifanyigwe.
The pool is said, come and witness the supernatural power of God.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread. Opa chicken they do yellow. Wendy's bread. Mama papa they like Wendy's bread. Chicken and do. Wendy's bread. Even children they like Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Get the better tasty we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread. Wendy's your chichama. Wendy's bread.
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Correct gist our people. Udala Radio get better news for now. We don't join hand with one serious mobile gaming company and we carry something big come for Onitsha people. You get phone abi? You like game? You want play with millions of players from different countries, or you just one day play and they win? Then this one now for you. Make you come join our gaming community now. You fit stand chance to make name for yourself as you dey play and they earn. The better you sabi the game, the bigger your reward. If you dey interested, no do yourself just send text message with your phone number, your full name, your email address. Send them go 0803-350-4206 to register. No miss the opportunity. Now better chance to join something where go sweet and reward you well. All you need now just your phone. You fit there anywhere. They play, they earn reward. Send your details now to 0803-350-4206. I go talk am again. 0803-350-4206. Make we start you up today. Udala Radio. We they always bring una the correct best.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Good to know you're still here with us on the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. And so we are done with all of the explanation of what happened over the weekend, Tony. I believe you've exhausted what you wanted to say concerning how what happened in Iran is going to affect Nigeria's economy, especially oil-wise.
Well, I think I have just said everything that needed to be said. Nigeria, the Shia Muslims doing protests. I saw the video. Of course, they look hungry. From the look of things. And if one thing is this, every country is trying to avoid Trump for one reason or the other. They will tell you United. In fact, that very day the strike began, UN called Security Council meeting. But you remember one thing, that Security Council meeting cannot take a decision if one veto comes from US. US has a veto power. They can veto whatever decision. So what is the need of Security Council meeting when you know that the person who is superheading or spearheading whatever you are calling the meeting for can veto your decision? It's very, very disappointing. The thing is, US has seen that it has what it takes. I remember Alexander the Great, one of the most decorated war leader in the world. He fought many battles. He never lost one. And during his time at 20, of course, he saw how he galvanized empires around the world, from Macedonia in the present Greece today, until he died. And he ruled a lot of empires in the world, covering over 5-point-something million kilometers, because he had what it takes to put them under the empire. In fact, what we have currently is United States Empire, even when it is not pronounced. And they have what it takes. Look at the 900 strikes. Do you know the cost of one strike? And I looked at Iraq. Oh, poor Iran. They are very poor. And you are busy fighting Saudi Arabia. And if you look at the cost of producing one of the missiles they fire to Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, one of the missiles cost not $2 million. You have money to build such missile. Each one cost, and they fired about 300. Calculate $2 million by 300, and you don't have infrastructures. Yeah, people are suffering, but there's so much concern in building this to challenge United States of America. You must be dreaming.
So technically, this isn't just about the oil. If they have been on this trail quite for some time now, this isn't just about oil.
It's just before now. Remember, before the revolution, Iran used to be one of the allies of United States of America until 1979 revolution that enthroned Ayatollah Ruhollah Khamenei. Not the one that died. The one that died in 1989, as I emphasized. But since then, they have become grand enemies. And one thing is, the major thing that stoked this violence is the interest. U.S. has a business interest. And Iran wants to ward off U.S. business interests and then superimpose the Islamic policies. And for U.S., their policies are anti-Western. They are anti-Western. They want to bring Western civilization to Iran, so in a way to have control, in a way to have influence over Iranian economy, but Iran does not want that. They want to bring in their, what I say, tradition, Islamic tradition, unfold. So it caused a lot of problem in many spheres, both in area of security, in economy, in tradition, in religion, a lot of problems. So they have been one of the greatest foes of United States, and I know that this is intended, and they have been disturbing Israel. And Israel, they have been the ones sponsoring Hamas. When Hamas struck Israel, Israel responded, and since then Israel has been on that very war. You know, one person I was actually waiting to speak, he didn't speak. You know the person, Femi Fode-Kano. When Israel was on that war with Hamas, he was lambasting Israel, calling Israel all sorts of names until he was made ambassador designate, and US designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern. He has stopped talking, because if he talks again, more like inviting Trump, Tinubu will just, shove him aside. So he's not talking. In fact, I didn't see him talk again yesterday. Everybody's being careful. And that's why Mr. President is making everything sure that Christians in Nigeria are protected by ensuring state police. Of course, he has said that. And the other things he's just trying to align. The U.S. now dictates to everybody what's to be done. Look at many countries supporting U.S. Many. In the entire Middle East, U.S. has conquered so many of them. Middle East. And they have a lot of assets around Middle East. Look at Saudi Arabia. It tells you that U.S. is champion in the local balance.
Join the conversation. Put a call across to 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. You can also drop your comment on Facebook at Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You have a minute. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Badmus. I'm calling from Ogidi.
Go ahead, Badmus.
Good. I want to talk about the demolition of the market. I want to ask, the governor of Anambra State said the last time he visited the market that he can even demolish the market and turn it to poultry. And based on what is happening, it's like the governor is doing what he said. He said he can even demolish the market. And he has started demolishing the market, claiming that illegal structures and all whatnot. So what I want to ask is this. Is a main market the only market in Anambra State that doesn't have where vehicle can park? There are so many markets in Anambra State that are similar to the market, but he chooses the market based on what he said, that he can demolish the market. So the governor is doing what he said. Let God keep watching him. He's doing it because he has won the second tenor. He don't owe anybody any explanation. Whether you don't need your vote anymore, that's exactly the way I see it. Then on the issue of Iran and Israel and America, the only thing I want to say is this. Why? Where is Iraq? Why is Iraq so quiet? Because before now, during the time of George Bush, United States was at war with Iraq. And based on what I heard here, during that time, Iran was not speaking. They were in good terms with America at that time. So I want to know, what happened along the line that made the U.S. turn against Iran? Because before it was Saddam Hussein whom they killed, and now they have killed another one in Iran. So what is happening in Iran and Iraq? What is their...
Hello? Okay. 08032216973, Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is John. I'm calling from Onitsha.
Go ahead, John. You have a minute.
Thank you. Concerning what is happening in Iran, because of, let me, put it through the kind of Sharia law, what of the other that have happened in that place, then you have taken that to oppress the other people. So these people that protest against their supreme leader want that regime to come out. So that is why America has come. This thing has been a warning. It's a warning to our country called Nigeria because of that Sharia law. Then America has warned them, please remove this Sharia law. This Sharia law is oppressing some of the people. It's a warning to this country called Nigeria, and it's a warning to our president. So let our country, Nigeria, do the needful, so that what happened to Iran will not happen to this very country called Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
All right, then. Let's hear what you have to say. 08032216973, 08038276694. You can also drop your comment on Facebook. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Henry from Awash. Yes, sir. I want to remind the attorney. I know that it's an encyclopedia. There's nothing that man does not know. What I want to remind him is that in the Bible there is an image that had Babylon as the head, at the head of the image, and that empire has ruled. And other empires has ruled. We are now at the foot of that image, being ruled by British America. So worldwide, in the Bible even, it is recognized that America is now ruling the world. That's what I want to remind you. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you. Let us hear you. Good morning. Hello there. Yes, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. The voice of Honorable. You know, the mayor, Can I go on?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. Senator Sambeke, please, I want to ask you a question which I would like to answer us to help us about this demolition in Memate. Tony, is it not better that the governor go for the main building, the bungalow, and use that will be enough to content those people that he is demolishing their shop, those illegal shops, so that they will go in there and start trading. Now we will go back and build back. I will help the life of innocent citizens of Anambra State. Some of these people now, like you said, don't even know anything that transpired. They just have opportunity and got that job, whether illegally or legal. But now, I want to ask you the second question. These people now, they are demolishing their shop now. What will be their means of living livelihood? Don't you feel that their boys, their one boy, apprentice, will go to steal it? And many of them say, don't you feel that this thing now is more problem in Anambra State? Now, how do you feel again? The business in main market or in Onitsha will thrive with this thing. Don't you feel that some customers that have been buying goods from those people that they are shopping we go to other places, they will not find them again to buy from them. Will still help the business to boom in Anambra State? Then secondly, what America is doing, like you have narrated, what America and Israel, whether it's for their own business. Don't you see that it is helping the world to move? Because that Iran, they are trying to build a nuclear weapon that can destroy many countries whenever they like. Thank you and God bless you.
All right, thank you for your contribution. Let us hear you. 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. One or two more calls and we head over to Facebook. Can you do this in a minute? Good morning. Are you there?
Hello. Good
Yes.
morning.
Yes, good morning.
This is the voice of Samuel from Asaba.
Go ahead, please. You have a minute.
Well, for the main market, if Soludo decided to help to listen to these people whenever they complain, well, we thank God for him. If he later decided to temper justice with mercy, thank God for him. After all, he did the right thing. Do you know that what caused this thing now was the last newly built building that's spearheaded by Willoughby's wife. And the Soludo warned that anybody that is paying for that place is going to regret it. That nobody, but our people not only ignored it, hoping that it's going to be business as usual. Now, the new one now has caused the demolition of the old structures. That is it. Many people will take it now as a lesson. Then, for the electoral act, town hall meeting, for me, the statement of INEC chairman is just empty promise is just an empty promise, because they know that the decision of Senate to go against what these people passed, the lawmakers passed against that e-transmission, has given them a level playing ground to please their masters. So this promise is just an empty promise. So that is how I'm seeing it. Good morning. God bless Udala FM.
Good morning to you too. Let's head over to Facebook.
Okay, so begin with the post made by Sabasnat Igwe from Ugwabobosi. He says, owing to what is happening in our electoral empire, I suggest that we don't need to overflog the issue based on the fact that the hope of the common man has been nailed on the cross by the coup plotters of the National Assembly. Away from this, the demolition going on at Onitsha main market by an Anambra State government is really unfortunate. And those saying praises to the governor are just doing that because of the peanuts they are getting from the governor, okay? And this very one says, is from Mastobe SJP. He says, the national chairman of the INEC, Professor Josh Amopito, has said the commission cannot guarantee 100% perfect election in 2027 as far as electronic transmission of result is concerned. He showed that INEC chairman is not competent to manage the affair of the organization, and the Professor Josh need to be investigated of okay, can I make a clarification? I don't think he said they cannot guarantee 100% e-transmission. He said they cannot deliver, we shouldn't expect 100% perfect conduct of election, not e-transmission.
By perfect conduct, we are talking logistic
general conduct
perfection. We are talking
exactly.
perfection all around.
All right. Then Communion Okeke is posted from Ojoto. He says he disagrees. Okay. He says, can someone in his right senses first of all do a German floor before building a house? To me, Solo should focus on building shops first, tell them to relocate before talking about parks and interiors. And if there is any illegal building, he should settle the real structure and demolish the wrong ones. My own problem is that can he finish this project before the end of his tenure? Okay. Rutratu Biawike Christopher from College of Education in Suba says, on the human aspect of the ongoing demolition of main market, the government is under obligation to compensate the ones that rented the shops, since the same government was collecting revenue from them, knowing full well that those shops were built illegally. If government cannot recover the money the shop renters pay to the shop builders, then they are still paying lip service to their main duties and leaving the shop renters to be at the receiving end. Ifeanyi George Ifedora says, I disagree with Tony on his analysis on those demolitions. Many of these shops were built and sold by the government of Peter Obi and Obiano including the one they built as a healthy center. I support development of the governor, but these people should have been given enough time or better provide a place for them. How can you give people that gave you their food support in less than a month to vacate their goods? I was looking at many of them on Saturday evening, how many of them were looking for places to keep their goods. Some even took it to their houses. These are families that have responsibilities. And he says, please, Governor, don't destroy the security you have built in Anambra with these demolitions. Dr. Misimo Lebara from Ore says, this INEC chairman has already started failing. We have already lost confidence in him. With the charade he conducted in Abuja, and is now telling us that he cannot have a perfect elections in 2027. If he can't give us credible, free and fair elections, let him throw in the towel now, because we cannot continue this way. And Zekwe Celestin says, not until my president stopped appointing the INEC chairman, or probably have a constitutional amendment in that regard, we should forget about getting it right in any election whenever. And Uchano, why thank you for following. Likewise, Francis Namani. Francis Omaga Namani, watching from Maguns in Enugu State. He says Nigerians want equity, fairness, justice, and good governance in this country, regardless of party affiliations, religion, or ethnic perceptions. And he says, may God help us. Okay, we add amen to your prayer, Francis. And then Nabatu Chokoye says, how can someone buy a shop from government officials and you now claim that government will not be held responsible for such fraud? And he added a claim from Tony that all those people in those demolished shops were on rent. Okay, it's misleading. Okay, so I think these are the reactions we have now.
You're right, Tony. Which are you reacting to quickly? And
I think there are many questions here. I think the person that said that all the shops, most of them are on rent, but there are those who bought shops, no doubt.
Franklin clarified that already.
Of course, Franklin also clarified that we structured it. And we also have somebody who made a point saying that government officials, that if you buy something from government officials, you'll be held accountable by the government. Every office, or let's put it, most institutions in Nigeria have corrupt ones, bad eggs. Just like I was explaining to you.
What about the taxpayers? The fact that they pay tax.
Now, I'll come to that. Somebody said,
quickly, we do not have time.
If you buy something from a corrupt official, call out the corrupt official of the government for immediate prosecution. Mm-hmm. And some of you will know that this is wrong, and also ask the person, is there a way you can help me? Let me be staying here for some time, this and that. Okay. And you also enable such corruption.
So what do you
and
say
then you want government to take responsibility of what you enabled, or sometimes what is official enabled. My dear, it doesn't work that way. Now, for those who said you are paying tax, remember, once you open up, even those who under will be annoyed, if you hawk and all that, you pay what you're supposed to pay. Once you open up any trade, the issue of where that trade is and the trade you open, you are paying that tax based on the trade you are actually running. But there are times local government will collect some of these revenues because you are there. You cannot just stay there without paying anything. Okay. It does not validate the fact that the structure is illegal.
All right,
Once structure is illegal, you may pay tax. It does not in any way separate or say that since I'm paying tax is illegal. No.
Thank you, Tony, for your analysis today. Franklin, final word.
Well,
in 10 seconds.
It's a long journey, so let's continue moving.
Absolutely. The Polity is going to make a return tomorrow, 9:15 down to 11 a.m. right here on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. See you at 12:25 on the Cherry Box. I am Chisom Chinedu. Good morning to you.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Oluchukwu Microfinance Bank, banking Egwejio. Oluchukwu Microfinance Bank, banking Marama. Banking Ego Anoya, Ipansi Ego Noya, Anoya.
Oluchukwu Microfinance Bank, they're here to make that your dreams come true. We get different loans so we